Through the narrow lanes of Amritsar, I don't just see bricks and bazaars. You know what? I actually start to see stories. So I see this weaver whose fathers taught him the craft, and not from any book, but by letting his hands walk on the looms. I think they might have even bled on those looms until they became strong enough to be able to perform that craft. I see this jalebi maker whose secret recipe, it's 80 years old. I mean, that's older than Instagram. It's even older than India's independence as we talk. Yet I start to wonder, it's somehow losing its trendiness. I see this Fulkari embroiderer whose hands tell tales that no AI will ever be able to generate, in my opinion. Yet the heartbreak here is that many of these stories, they're ending. And not because these people don't love their work, but because these artisans, these craftsmen, they can't really pay their bills with the work that they're doing. So now let's just say that the artisan becomes an Uber driver, for example. Maybe because that could help him pay the bills. Or the fourth generation shopkeeper might become a call center employee. Maybe because that would give him more financial stability, a better medium to provide for his family. But with every switch that we see in this way, from something so traditional and pure to something more, well, milling crowd kinds, we don't just lose a job. We lose a part of our identity. And that, according to me, is a big area of concern and consternation. So this is where I step in. I'd like to introduce something that I call capability capital. And I came up with this new concept by studying a lot of researches in the field of economics. So let's try and break it down, shall we? Now, economics will tell you that capital is anything that can help create wealth. So it could be money, machines, buildings, anything that can create wealth is capital. And capability, well, that's just something that you are able to do. So it's your skills, your know-how, your craft, now that's your capability. If we combine the two, let's say we take a skill, maybe a heritage skill, and we acknowledge that skill. We start to develop that skill over time, and we really uniquely celebrate that skill. So by investing in it, which is sort of our way of truly valuing it, it can become our capital. Now, just like when Dadi's achars are packaged and standardized, doesn't tradition find a place on every shelf? Or I'm sure every Indian household can relate. Now, how many of you think that your favorite recipe comes not from some recipe book, but from actual improvisation? Anyone? I know I do. So this is exactly what Chayos took inspiration from. They borrowed from this everyday creativity of mothers, wherein they'll use last night's leftovers and minimal resources to create something so interesting for us. And they brought that to the bigger stage, creating a whole cafe culture around it. Similarly, if we take a heritage skill, we recognize it, refine it in this manner, and then share it with the world, can't it also become something lasting? Something that we all can call capital? I believe that it most definitely can. And this is exactly what I'm proposing needs to be done with the artisans and the craftsmen of uniquely distinct cities like ours. Because once we do that, our heritage, our craft work, our traditions, they all don't just remain a talent anymore, but now they become a capital, a capability capital, if you will. And now it's a living, breathing asset. It can earn, sustain, and truly grow. But let's just take a pause here. And let's look at what's actually happening in our city. So I think our city, it's been chasing modernization as if it were a sprint. But I think what we're all truly forgetting in this process is that we can't really sprint carrying a 500-year-old heritage on our back without dropping some of it along the way. Now the big question arises, can we really afford to drop our heritage? I mean, Amritsar's economy, it's solely and totally dependent on its heritage, its traditions, its craft work, way of life, legacies, and all of these beautiful things. Let me also add the food and the recipes. But today, it's like all of these generational legacies, they're being discontinued as if they were outdated software updates. I mean, we're kind of treating our version of living life as incompatible with today's economy. And we are switching careers just to survive. Now let that sink in. I'd like to name here the Nobel Prize winning economist Amartya Sen. So he has long argued that development is more about expanding people's capabilities rather than just their incomes. Now here's what I'll say. I say that heritage is a capability. So if we start to invest in heritage structurally, that is, we make it an engine of livelihood first, then culture, it's no longer just about nostalgia or something that can make us feel good. But now it actually becomes an economic powerhouse. And we've seen this work. Take the case of Jaipur rugs, for example. So it all started as a very small weaving initiative. But today, these Jaipur rugs, they're sold in over 60 countries. And the artisans are able to earn 5 to 10 times more. You might wonder why? Just because they could turn their craft into a global product. I want you to think of this other small area called Luang Prabang in Laos. So there, the young people, they were leaving their villages and they were leaving their professions. But what the government there did, it was very intriguing. So they simply put craft schools inside tourist places. Now the visitors, they would visit those tourist places and they would actually try to make one small object or project of that local craftswork, and they would end up genuinely appreciating that craft. So the craftsmen, they earn not only from the sales of their craft, but also from teaching their craft. Isn't that amazing? Another wonderful example that comes to my mind would be from the Kutch area in Gujarat. So now there they created this whole craft-based organization called Khamir, and they actually began turning traditional products into global exports. Now they did this through branding, certification, and storytelling. What truly interests me the most about this story is that their authenticity actually became their selling point. And that's exactly what we need to do, don't we? We need to be able to work on our capability capital. We need to make our artisans and our craftsmen capable enough so that they can stand on their own livelihood. And this way, they won't need to switch their careers just to survive. Now, for all this, I think all we need to do is take very simple measures. The first being making these artisans digitally literate, so that they can actually open up and run their Instagram stores. They can sell their craft stories online. Now just imagine if the jalebi maker had a PR team like that of sushi. We'd all be eating it in fancy glass bowls for $800, right? Anyways, I think the next thing we could do is to create some experience centers, wherein the visitors, they can pay not just to sightsee, but to truly experience the craft by making it on their own. Now this could be done in a number of ways, of course. There could be craft workshops, food making classes, make your own jutti kind of things. And then we need to introduce heritage as a career. So our universities, now they could offer fellowships to the children who want to continue running their family businesses, who maybe want to know how they can genuinely modernize and upscale them. And then, of course, we need to have a carnival festivity. I see some smiles coming up. I mean, look at Diwali. So that's being celebrated all over India. Now, Diwali is not uniquely what makes Amritsar, Amritsar, but maybe we could also have a carnival that lasts up to a week and everybody wears locally made stuff in that week. There could be theme parties in that week. Just imagine Amritsar declares Heritage Week. Instagram, it would literally explode. Hashtag Fulkari Fridays, hashtag Jutti Saturdays, and selfies with Parandis. Because why not? If at Coachella they can sell their flower crowns, I think we all can definitely embrace our tradition with a bit more flair, don't you? Okay, a quick check now. How many of you have gone to a craft fair and tried to bargain with the artisan? Anyone? Exactly. I think we've all been treating their contribution as something that's optional, when actually it's priceless. What we all really need to realize is that the eye of an experienced craftsman is truly his own, and it's sharpened by generations of practice, of trial, of intuition. But if we all really want that eye to survive, we need to frame it with structure. Now, the French did it with their perfumes, bread, and wine. They turned everyday practices into benchmarks of excellence that we all admire today. Cambridge, it does that with language, creating rubrics that the world now follows. So I ask you to look deep down and ask yourself, why can't we? Just imagine if fulkari embroidery, chuda bangles, papad vadiyan, kulche, malpura, all of these things, they had their own standards, their own rubrics of mastery. We could run vocational courses where young learners, they don't just inherit skills anymore, but now they can actually earn certifications that would get them proper credibility and livelihood. Now imagine when these rubrics of mastery, vocational courses, and certifications are put in place, an artisan is no longer just Auntie Ji who stitches well, but now a level 5 certified Fulkari master carrying the same pride as a Michelin star chef. This is how I believe culture becomes capital, how heritage can truly become a resource. After all, coal, it was once just black dust, silicon, just sand, and millets, well, poor man's food. Until we truly recognize their value and gave them the utility that they hold today. I really think that our crafts do have this dormant power. And what we need now, it's not just pride in what is ours, but the actual courage to standardize it, systematize it, and then share it with the world. That too proudly. Because when we all start to embrace the eye of the craftsman, we're not just preserving tradition anymore. We are building timeless capital. So the idea that I'm trying to convey here today is that we really need to stop thinking of our crafts and recipes as relics that are to be locked up in museums. We need to start seeing them as live industries. So let's just stop thinking of heritage as a charity case and let's start seeing it as a venture capital for the soul of our city. Thank you very much.